Okay, so today I'm going to teach you guys how to fill out a unit circle and how to calculate cosine, sine, or tangent of any given angle in radians. So first, we already know that this is the degree spot, this is the radian spot, and this is the points. And we're going to use the points to calculate cosine, sine, and tangent later on in the video. But first we have to fill out the unit circle. So we're going to fill out these 4 points because these are the easiest to fill out. So we know that a whole circle is 360 degrees, and you're going to have to know that a whole circle is also 2 pi radians. Given that, we know that this is 0 because it's just nothing. It hasn't moved at all so far. This is 180 degrees. We already know that. This is a 90-degree angle, so it's going to be 90 degrees, and this is 270 degrees. Now we're going to fill in the rest of the radians. So this is same as how a whole circle is 2 pi, half a circle is only going to be pi radians. 1/4 of the circle is going to be pi over 2 radians, and 3/4 of the circle is going to be 3 pi over 2 radians. Now imagine this is on a graph. This would be the y-axis, this would be the x-axis. Now for the points, this would be 0, 0, 1 unit to the right would be 1, 0, 1 unit up would be 0, 1, 1 unit to the left, -1, 0, 1 unit down would be 0, -1. Now we're going to calculate, we're going to fill in the rest of it. I'll show you how to fill it in the first, second, third, and fourth quadrants. So first quadrant, this is going to be 30 degrees, this is going to be 45 degrees because it's half of the first quadrant, 60 degrees. So this is either 1/3 of the first quadrant or 1/6 of the first 2 quadrants. So given that it's 1/6 of the first 2 quadrants and this is pi, 1/6 of it would be pi over 6. 1/4 of pi would be pi over 4. And then similarly, this would be 1/3 of the first 2 quadrants, which is pi over 3. Now I'm saying how this is 1/6 of the first quadrant because this whole first quadrant, first 2 quadrants are equal to pi, which means that 1/6 of the first 2 quadrants would be equal to pi over 6. That's why these are what they are. And same for these. This would be 120, 135, 150, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 4, and 5 pi over 6. To fill out these now, the x point is going to be equal to cosine, so it would be cosine. The y point is going to be equal to sine. Now we have to fill out the points, that's right here. So given this, cosine and sine and tangent is equal to sine over cosine. And we know, basically you get these points like if you plug into a calculator cosine of pi over 6 or cosine of 30, you're going to get this point, or you're going to get a decimal. Just depends on what, you're going to have to put your calculator in radian mode or degree mode if you're using degrees or radians. But so this is basically, these are the points of all of them. So if you wanted to calculate the cosine of 330 degrees, let's say, you would look on the unit circle, you would find 330 degrees, and then you would look in the x point. So cosine 330 degrees be equal to 3/2. Now, just for the sake of time, that's why I didn't fill out all of the points of cosine and sine with you, but yeah. So since cosine of 330 is radical 3 over 2, it would be the same since 330 is equal to 11 pi over 6 radians. You could say the same thing. I'm just using degrees. You could say cosine of 11 pi over 6 is equal to radical 3 over 2 as well. Now, a second angle could be, let's choose a random one, 135. So cosine of 135 is 2 pi over 4 radians. Over 4 radians. And that's equal, 3 pi over 4 radians. That seemed a little off. 3 pi over 4 radians. We would look in the x point. That would be negative radical 2 over 2. And the sine of 3 pi over 4 radians would be equal to radical 2 over 2. Now, if you'll notice, all of these points are the same in each quadrant. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. It's all, this point is the same right here, and same right here. This point is the same, and this point is the same. The only difference is the negative and the positive signs. And that's just, you can figure that out by looking at these 4 points. So since the y point in this, on this quadrant is negative, then each of the y points are negative. Since this x is positive, each of the x's are positive. Same here, all of it's positive. X's are positive, negative, y's are negative. X's are negative, y's are positive. Now, to calculate tangent of any given angle, we would say tangent, let's choose an angle. How about 225 degrees, which is 5 pi over 4 radians. That would be equal to the sine value over the cosine value. So right here, this is cosine, this is sine. So it would be negative radical 2 over 2 over negative radical 2 over 2. Now when you're dividing fractions, you do this. You do the first fraction times the reciprocal of the second fraction. The 2's cancel out, the radical 2's cancel out, the negatives cancel out. And you're left with 1. So that's how you fill in a unit circle and you calculate cosine, sine, or tangent of any given angle in radians.